Today's lesson, I am going to pre-teach vocabulary for trigonometry, for sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, so for those that print it out, I just want to make sure you understand when you're looking at the paper, these boxes are on the opposite sides. So we're going to start on the top left. So right now, trigonometry, let's break apart the word. It is the study of triangles. Why is this important? Is all polygons can be divided into triangles. And triangles are used in structure because they are the strongest support. So pre-calculus, which is the class after Algebra 2, is going to combine triangles with those special right triangles that we just went through. Okay, so when we are talking about sine, cosine, and tangent, we're talking about a right triangle. So my reference angle I have to define first. So it is going to be an acute angle. So it's not the right angle. It's going to be this acute angle or this acute one. It doesn't matter. It can be either one. It cannot be the 90-degree angle. So it is going to be one of the two acute angles. So the strategy we are going to use is we are going to label the reference angle. Once we have know which is the reference angle, then we're going to label our three sides. The hypotenuse is the side across from the 90-degree angle. The adjacent side is next to the reference angle, and the opposite side is across from the reference angle. Okay, once we label the sides, then we can define the ratio. So a ratio, sine, cosine, and tangent are the ratio of two of the three sides. Okay, so let's start out with sine. So we abbreviate that as S-I-N, but I still say sine. Here, so I'm going to say this is sine, but we abbreviate it as S-I-N. So sine is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Okay, so if I'm going to say angle B is the reference angle, this is my reference angle, this acute angle, my hypotenuse is across from the 90-degree angle, my adjacent leg is next to the reference angle, and my opposite leg is across from the right angle. So the sine of B is opposite divided by hypotenuse. So opposite is 3 divided by the hypotenuse, which is 5. If I chose M as my reference angle, the hypotenuse remains the same. That's across from 90. But this time the adjacent angle is 3. So the adjacent is next to the reference angle, and opposite becomes 4. So sine, by definition, is opposite divided by hypotenuse. So the opposite side is 4 divided by the hypotenuse, which is 5. Okay, the ratio that is called cosine. So we abbreviate that as COS, but we still say cosine is defined as the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. So adjacent is next to. So if I choose angle B as my reference angle, this angle here, my hypotenuse is 13. My adjacent leg is 12, and my opposite leg is 5. So adjacent divided by hypotenuse, adjacent is 12, divided by the hypotenuse is 13. If I chose J as my reference angle, this as my reference angle. 13 is still the hypotenuse because that's across from the right angle. My adjacent leg is 5, and my opposite leg is 12. So adjacent divided by hypotenuse, adjacent divided by hypotenuse is 5/13. So the third combination of the ratio of my three sides is called tangent. And we abbreviate it as TAN, but we still say the word tangent. If I chose angle B as my reference angle, this angle, I would label 17 as my hypotenuse because that's across from 90. My adjacent leg is 15, and my opposite leg is 8. And tangent by definition is opposite divided by adjacent. So opposite is 8 divided by adjacent 15. If I chose angle E as my reference angle, so here is my hypotenuse, my adjacent leg is 8, my opposite leg is 15. So the opposite divided by adjacent is 15 divided by 8. Okay, so we have a little acronym that we remember these. So I am going to call how I remember sine. I'm going to use the first letter of each, and we call that SOH. For cosine, we're going to use the letter of each, and we call that CAH, C-A-H. And tangent, we're going to use the first letter, so T-O-A, so TOA. So when we put those together, it spells Sohcahtoa. So this is for sine, cosine, and tangent, and it has to do with opposite divided by hypotenuse, adjacent divided by hypotenuse, and opposite divided by adjacent. Okay, that's it.